The next leg of the stool is your why, your reasons. You figured out what you want. Now, why do you want it? What you want is the basis of a solid foundation. But once you get a good idea of what you want, the next thing you should ask yourself is why. Your why is bigger than the task at hand. It's the end game that you reach for every day. It's what gives your work meaning. You know, we tend to get lost in the steps to success, the how it gets done. But if you get solid with your why, then the how will unfold before your eyes. If your why is right, you'll be happy doing what you have to do, and not just the reaching of the goal, but the journey as well. I had a client recently who got involved with a bank-owned property deal because she thought that's what she should do. She had been pursuing real estate investment for years and had yet to do a deal on her own. This deal came about, and she had actually just had a baby about 3 months ago, and she was set to return to work after maternity leave. And in this deal, there were a series of problems. First with a partner who failed to come through, then with the financing when the appraisal came in too low. The problem was she wasn't focused. She wasn't straight with herself about why she was doing this. You know, she just wanted to be comfortable and have time to raise her family. And this deal was disturbing all of that and taking her away from what she really wanted. And she ended up throwing in the towel before the closing. And as you might know, these bank-owned deals, deposits are non-refundable, and they're sizable deposits. But for her, it wasn't worth it anymore. It's no longer what she wanted to do. It no longer fit with her why. The next leg of the stool is where you are now. Your jumping off point, where you're starting from. The next aspect of a solid foundation is taking a good hard look at where you are. It means being familiar with your jumping off point, knowing what you have and what you can do with it. Are you starting off with $300,000 in the bank? Or are you starting off with no money, no expertise, and only hope? This is a strength, weakness, opportunity, threat analysis. Don't try to shore up your weaknesses. Instead, what I found works better is playing up your strengths. And then somehow your weaknesses become less relevant. You know, if you're in a dark room, you don't shovel the dark out. You just open up the shades and let the light in, right? You know, I had a client years ago. He was a guy who had no money, no expertise, but he had plenty of hope. And he was very good at talking to people. He was a bartender. And it was very difficult for him to break into real estate. Because basically his hours were crazy. He worked all night long. During the day, he was dead tired. But he had hope, and he had a want, and his want was to get into real estate despite his obvious weaknesses. And so he went, he got a real estate agent's license, and he learned the business. You know, being an agent, you get to learn how real estate works, how the process works. He found some good deals too, because he was a very chatty guy and very personable, and people liked him. Next thing he did is he got a job as a bartender, but not at the late night bar that he was working at, but at a country club. And what he would do is with all the country club guys, they would come up to him and he would talk about the deals he would find. Eventually, one of the wealthy club members offered to do a deal with him as a joint venture. Now, if he was fixated on his weaknesses, he would have gone out and tried to raise funds first, because that was his weakness. Instead, he played on his strengths, which was his desire and his gift of being talkative with people. The next leg of the stool, who you are. This is your support system. This is the place you return to when trouble or failure springs. This is, in part, about the people around you who are there to support your goals. To consider this, it pays to look first at things that are closest to you, starting with family, friends, your job. What is your family situation? Can it help you? Or is it an unstable aspect of your life? Who are your family members? Is it you and 3 little kids? Or is it you and your wealthy parents? Everyone has a different starting off point, and each one has its unique gifts and challenges. Is your family behind you in this? Can they help you hedge your bets? Are you the primary earner? And is your spouse on board? How much resistance can come from a disagreeable spouse? Do you have family with experience in real estate investment that can help? Or maybe you have a family with money to lend. What you'll find in taking a look at the people around you is the value of surrounding yourself with people who want to see you do well, but also people who will challenge you. You want support, but at the same time, you don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of yes men. That might serve your ego, but it won't help you figure out the best way forward. Your livelihood. This is another big part of your support system. What you do or what you did before real estate. What skills did you use on that job that could translate into your real estate investor career? Often people are so fed up with their jobs when they choose to get involved with real estate that they make a conscious decision not to use the same skills that they used in their previous jobs. This is a knee-jerk reaction from getting away from a bad situation, but I do believe it's short-sighted. No job is all bad. Even a job you absolutely hated has some redeeming quality that could help you as a real estate investor. A long time ago, I had a client who spent years as a toll collector on the Triborough Bridge in New York, back when it was still named the Triborough Bridge. He told me point blank that there are no redeeming qualities about being a toll collector. So I asked him what it was like. And he basically said, you just collect the money, give people change and a receipt. Most people were miserable and treat you like dirt. The managers were miserable and treated you like dirt. At the end of your shift, you filled out a report with your earnings and went home. He hated the fact that it was monotonous and you get treated like dirt. The bright side was that being treated like dirt no longer bothered him, and he had gained an enormous capacity to deal with mundane things. After working with him some more, he realized that his job gave him certain skills that could be useful in real estate. Most investors are hesitant to put in lowball offers because they don't like the feeling when people are insulted by the offer. Here was a guy that wasn't bothered by that at all. He was a guy that can do the same thing over and over again without getting bored. So what did he do? He found as many potential deals as possible and just kept lobbing in lowball offers. He was rejected relentlessly. But in real estate, it's a numbers game. And the more offers he put in, the greater his chances were of being accepted. And eventually, that tactic paid off for him. Another thing to consider is, can you afford not to work? You're not happy with your job, but you might want to consider working it while you transition, planning your exit. You'll feel better about knowing the end is near. And how much do you think you'll make on your first deal? $50,000, $70,000 at most? It could take you a year or more to get your first deal. How will you live in the meantime? How much could you make in a year working your day job? Now, there's also a powerful argument for quitting cold and going full-time into real estate. Like they say, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. But again, this is a personal decision. The last piece of the foundation, what does it mean to have a solid foundation, is yourself. You are the axle in the wheel, and the rest of this stuff is going to rotate around you. What I've found, my clients that are real estate investors, they're all the matriarchs and patriarchs of their family, because the skills that you need that make you a matriarch and a patriarch translate well into real estate. You are that person. You might not feel that way now, but that's what I see. Successful real estate investors are almost always the matriarch and patriarch of their families. As I mentioned earlier, there's no single ingredient for success. What might work for you could be useless to anyone else. So to give you a list of things that you can do to be successful, I think would be doing a disservice to you. Every truth is at best a half-truth. So no one ingredient that might be helpful to one person could be a hindrance to another. So instead of providing a specific recipe for success, what we have here is a set of ingredients that can be added or subtracted as you please in the amounts that suit you. These ingredients do not prescribe a particular way. Rather, they are the master key by which you can unlock the doors of your own unique potential. These ingredients are traits that I see to some degree in every single real estate investor I've worked with. Now, I'm not going to stand here and claim that I have the recipe for success, or even that I know all the ingredients. All I have is my observations of the microcosm of society I happen to be lucky enough to see, from being in this business for a long time and from being a student of how it works, and how the people in it work. I'm using this particular list of ingredients because they seem to come up quite a bit, and they offer the opportunity to have a little discussion about some things I think could help give you the edge. In having this discussion, I'm hoping that you'll find that you're far more in control of your destiny than you previously thought. Now, none of this is new. None of this is anything you don't already know. If I've done my job here, then this work will be but the tip of the iceberg, the back of which is something far greater. And that far greater thing is what you do with this recollection of your truth.